This week as Johannesburg's city manager. He previously held the position but was removed in December after the High Court ruled his appointment was unlawful and procedurally flawed following a Democratic Alliance application. Now, the city says Brink's reinstatement is intended to ensure effective governance and advance Johannesburg's developmental agenda. Joining me now for this conversation is Masilo Serekele, spokesperson for the ANC in the Greater Johannesburg region. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you very much for your time. Let me start off the conversation about whether or not you are aware that Mr. Brink has possibly received his appointment letter. And I ask you this primarily because we've been trying to get him onto this show, but he has told us that until such time that he receives his appointment letter, he cannot conduct any interviews. So are you aware whether he indeed is back on the job?
Good evening, Xoli, and good evening to your viewers. As things stand now, it will be practically impossible for him to have his appointment letter in hand because the appointment of Floyd Brink was confirmed by council on Thursday, and we believe that there should be some admin work and also some negotiations that they must have with the city with regards to the finalization of his employment contract. Practically, no, you won't have the employment contract with him, not yet signed as yet.
Yeah. Do we know the timeline as to these consultations?
Not really. You know, there will be negotiations, obviously, with regards to his employment from a remuneration point of view and some other employment conditions that will be in that particular contract. It may take some few days to finalize, probably maximum a week. By that time, we should come and then update the residents of Johannesburg and the people of South Africa about his employment. But as things stand, no. But I think the time frame should be a week or so.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question. At regional level, basically the Johannesburg caucus, was the ANC in unison about Brink's reappointment?
Look, from an ANC point of view, remember, when we went out to the market, there were different opinions and different candidates that we looked at. And from an ANC point of view, the emphasis was that we need somebody who will be able then to come and stabilize governance in the city, but also because of regulations that whoever is going to be appointed now must not exceed 1 year after the local government election. We needed somebody who understands the system, because we could not come and hire Xoli, and Xoli have to take 18 months to learn, and within that particular time, and then Xoli's contract will have to vacate office.
Yeah. Now,
Floyd became an ideal candidate, but there were numerous candidates that we looked at, and at the end of the day, Floyd have won the day.
The understanding is that there were numerous other candidates, but Mr. Brink scored the highest in the interview process. Is that a fact?
Yeah, that's a fact. From where we are sitting, Floyd is the recommended candidate. And I think me and you will know that a recommended candidate means is the number one by all recruitment accounts. The issue of scoring, we've seen that there were leaks of scorecards. We can't confirm nor deny that particular scorecards because that remained a confidential information from that particular point. But what we know is that he is the preferred city manager, and council have approved him. Now, as things stands, Brink is our city manager in the city of Johannesburg.
The reason I ask you about whether or not the ANC was united on Floyd Brink's candidature is partly because of a conversation I had with the ANC at national level. And that is to say, they held the unapologetic view that they will intervene and poke their nose even where some people may think it does not belong, because for them, if a municipality is under the ANC governance, then the party at national level has to preserve its image almost. Was there disagreement at some point between what the region, the province, the national ANC wanted?
Look, from where we're sitting, it was not about a disagreement of a candidate. It was about consultation. There was a bit of a view that national needs to be taken into confidence how far our recruitment process is. And because of that, then they needed us to come and then brief us. And I think that process, we as a region, were briefed the provincial structure of the ANC about the recruitment process. Mm-hmm. And we, at that particular time, we felt it was sufficient because we then briefed the provincial structure, but ultimately the national needed to be taken into confidence. There was no any poking, because from legally they have no role or no say in terms of the administrative process of the city, mm-hmm. but just to take them into confidence, and they must not learn about Floyd Brink or any city manager appointed through the media, but they must be able to be taken into confidence how far we went and how was the process. Remember, we are from a period in which we appointed Brink and court nullified that particular process, and the ANC could not afford any other procedural irregularities in terms of the appointment, where in particular the ANC is leading the coalition. And that was it. I think maybe the issue were the consultation part. It was not about poking their nose, but it was that they needed to be taken into confidence about our process.
Okay. And just finally, as we end the conversation, Mr. Brink, as you say, he scored highly in the interview process. And as you've pointed out, he is familiar with the space. And so you almost need someone who's going to come in and get things going, not someone who's still going to learn the processes. The city is literally days away from the G20 summit. And at the moment, I think you probably are running as fast as you can to try and fix things, at least at face value, so that the visitors see what is seen as a well-run city. Are you confident that he's the man with the skill to take the city beyond the facelift that the G20 delegates are going to see, but take it into the future in terms of the developmental agenda?
Yes, we strongly believe he is the right man for the job. That is the first one. But secondly, I think let's correct one thing. The current acting city manager, they've been in office for the past 3 months or so, mm-hmm. and up until we finalize the issue of recruitment. Just unfortunately that the finalization of the recruitment coincide with us hosting the G20. Now, we must correct that. The appointment of Brink had nothing to do with the G20. It's just the process as finalization coincidentally then landed at the week or a month in which we must host the G20. But in terms of him being the right man, yes, we believe he should be the right man. If he gets in, you will then be able then to deal with the final preparations of the G20. But the team that is already there have been doing wonders. And I think, Xoli, me and you can agree for the first time that we are seeing a very functional, a very clean, livable city, inner city of Johannesburg. And that is a fresh air to every resident in this particular country, that the biggest CBD is now back to its former glory because of the work that has been done there. But in terms of the developmental agenda, yes, we believe that Floyd Brink, first thing he must bring back into the city is the investor confidence within the city. Second thing, he must be able then to stabilize the revenue within the city. The third issue must be able to provide service delivery, in particularly the thorn issue that is now characterizing Johannesburg, which is water shortages.
Yeah.
And I think that is the main issue. And if he fails in those three, then he will fail in his job. as the accounting officer of the city. But the issue, I want to differ with you on the issue when you are raising the issue of phase V. As been preparing for the G20 can't be on phase value. Is the preparation that we have done, like any other city that is hosting a major event, like we've hosted the World Cup. It was not a phase value with what we did with the World Cup. And we hosted the biggest show, the biggest sports event in the globe, and we managed to execute it to the satisfaction of everyone. And we believe that we will be able to host the G20 to the satisfaction of everyone, not on the face value, but according to the standards that any world city that must be able to host the most powerful head of state in the globe.
Okay, all right. Well, seeing that you're challenging my phrasing there, well, let's put your let's put your commitment as whether or not you indeed are a man of your word and indeed from the party you come from. If this is not about a gimmick, if this is not about appearances, are you able to tell us whether the city is on the right path and it will keep at that with the enforcement of bylaws? As we speak now, informal traders have taken the city to court because their stalls are being taken away because they are trading where they're not supposed to. Some of them are refusing, though, to verify whether their documentation, just by being in the country, can be verifiable. Can you guarantee the residents who want to see a clean, livable city that the enforcement of the bylaws is not just a passing phase that is going to, or that is meant to impress the visitors, but it's something that's going to stay?
Look, we want to assure the residents of Johannesburg and the people of South Africa that the enforcement of the bylaws will be here to stay now and beyond the G20. In fact, the enforcement of the bylaws should have happened a long time ago and should be consistent, and the residents of Johannesburg must know that they must live with enforcement of bylaws anywhere, not only in the inner city, but even in our own residential areas as residents of Johannesburg. But what we must assure the people of Johannesburg is that the city is on the rise. Under the leadership of the ANC-led the GNU, the city is on the rise. The inner city is now will become more livable, more safer. And also, more over and above that, we want the inner city or the CBD to be able to bring investor confidence. Me and you know, Xoli, that if the biggest city in this country cannot be functional, nothing will work in this country. And the ANC believes that for the sustainability of the economy of this country, we need to have the inner city being functional, we need to have the inner city being safe, we need to have the inner city livable and be able to attract investor confidence for the sustainability of the economy of this country.
All right. Well, let's see whether indeed the city of Johannesburg can once again live up to the slogan that it is a world-class African city. That's a slogan of yesteryear. I'm sure you'll remember that. The ANC's Johannesburg region spokesperson, Masilo Serekele. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time.